Hello, Brick Sculptors, and welcome back to Brick Sculpt. This is Chris, and today we're going to talk about LEGO vehicle scale. We're going to cover a lot of things today. We're going to talk about the sizes of vehicles, how vehicles have changed over time in size, shape, and style, and we have a lot to cover here, so let's go ahead and get started. So this here was one of my absolute favorite LEGO sets as a kid, and this is set 6552, which is from a series called LEGO Town. This is called the Rocky River Retreat, and I'll put a picture of the full set because my instructions are very old and completely destroyed. But the reason I'm talking about this is the vehicle in this set was actually my favorite part. They did this incredibly detailed SUV, at least for the time period it came out, which was 1993. And had this cool trailer and a boat as well. I actually rebuilt this vehicle for the video. I've had variations of this in my city, but I haven't had the original built for a while. So here it is. I still have the fishing pole as well. But for 1993, a vehicle that is over 30 years old now, not too bad, huh? A lot of detail, really well done, a lot of pieces, and I think that's such a cool set. I've always incorporated this in some fashion. I did kind of change a little bit, but in some fashion in my LEGO cities. Now in this time frame, it was not uncommon for a vehicle to be 4 wide and fairly short. And actually at the minifig next to it, it doesn't look that unrealistic. Maybe a little bit short. The width doesn't look too terrible. But the reason I bring this vehicle up in particular is early 2024, LEGO came out with this Land Rover, which in concept is a very similar vehicle to this 1993 SUV. In design, it's incredibly different. You can see, first of all, 4 wide versus 6 wide, plus mirrors, plus fenders. This vehicle just keeps getting wider and wider. It's also a little bit longer, too. I would say the vehicle probably looks a little small next to Rick there, but I would definitely say this Land Rover looks massive next to him. His head comes up to the window. So this is a big problem with LEGO scale and something we're going to talk a lot about in this video. But let's look at some more older examples of vehicles. Now the smaller vehicles thing didn't just apply to passenger vehicles. This here is a fuel truck. And this is from a set called Gas Stop Shop, which came out in 1995. And it's set number 6562. Now you can see it's still 4 wide. The tank is a bit wider. They used a really cool technique for how to build that, making it actually an oval, not a circle. But it was designed to be small, and next to Rick it looks incredibly tiny. But back in those days, that was normal. That was kind of how you played with this stuff. This is perhaps my all-time favorite vehicle. This is the LEGO Street Sweeper. This is set 6649, and this is from 1995 as well. This set I have had in every LEGO city I've built since I was a kid, because it is just so cool. I know it looks outdated, but the concept, the ideas were just so ahead of its time. The sweeper in the front, the suction on the side, the blowers on the back. Just a super cool little vehicle. Another commercial working type vehicle, and still much smaller scale. This was another set that I really loved when I was a child. And this is LEGO set 3438, the McDonald's restaurant. And look at this. That is the smallest vehicle I've ever seen. But you know what's cool about it? Just like all these other ones, it holds 1 minifig. Look at the size difference between that and that. Those look hilarious next to each other. Now I know this was probably a price point play set. It was not designed to be super realistic. Definitely more of a toy than a model. But it's worth mentioning that some vehicles back then got really, really tiny. Now in this era, most people were building around the road plate. And I still use these today. I know I'm an oddball in that. Most people are building roads now using SNOT technique on Mills plates out of gray brick, or they're using the newer road plates. But I just don't want to spend that kind of money. I've already got a lot of these, and I think they do look nice, and you can do curves a lot easier with these. So that's what I do. And when you do use this kind of road, you know, the scale works really well, even for this little tiny guy. You know, but in more modern times, you know, this just barely fits in the lane. The mirrors kind of hang over. It's actually driving in the gutter. It does work if you're just setting it up, but if this road were too wider on each side, it would work a lot better. So these road plates are a little outdated, but I do like the way they look. They do make for a nice play feature for kids. And yeah, so a lot of the scale was based around the play feature of the road. Now I'd be curious how many people out there are familiar, and you can tell me below in the comments, with vehicles that allow you to sit two passengers side by side. And that's a tricky one because there's not a lot. And I can only think of really one series that did this. There are several vehicles that you can sit people tandem, which means you sit in a row, front to back. But side to side is really challenging because even on a 6-wide vehicle like this, there's not a whole lot of room once you put sides on it. I'm going to show you a concept I've been working on, but I haven't figured out completely yet. Maybe you guys could share some input on it. So this is not going to be an actual vehicle. I'm just going to build this on a base plate just to get the idea down. So let's say we have a hood for a vehicle, and we'll try to do this on a 6-wide, because I think much wider than 6 is just kind of ridiculously big. And then I've already pre-made some of these sections here, but these just have these little half walls and jumpers. Now there's a lot of things that are wrong with this, but we're going to talk about that next. First I want to talk about the concept. So if we do this, we can put two seats side by side, have a little bit of room on the outside, and one brick spacing in the middle. Now in doing this, this will allow us to sit two minifigs side by side. Their hands might touch, their arms might just barely hang over the edges, but they will fit in a 6-wide vehicle. We could continue to add on too, because our length isn't really a problem here. We could put a second row in, just like that. And honestly, if we want to make a van, we could even put a third row in, or an SUV. Now I wish I could put a bench seat, but you really can't. But if you do this, you know, I can comfortably seat 6 people in here quite easily. So you see we can get all the village people in there, and they fit quite well. Now here's the problem. This is all built around these half walls. And one issue with scale on Lego minifigs is that they don't get a lot shorter when they sit down because their butts take up most of that space. Their legs are very short compared to their torsos. So Lego vehicles have to be tall. A lot of vehicles compensate for this by using base plates that indent down under the vehicle to give you added head clearance inside the vehicle. Well, when we use jumpers, especially if we put seats on those jumpers, we can't really drop these down any lower. And because these seats go over the sides of these little walls, these walls can't really come up high enough. So if I were to try to build this up, I'd have to go quite a bit taller, which would mean we'd want the doors, or the walls on the sides to come up to about here. You need these people to be sitting down lower in the vehicle, and you really can't do that. You could probably devise some sort of snot technique for the side and keep that interior the same, but the vehicle's going to start to get wider than 6 wide. When you do snot technique, it's definitely going to be wider than 6. How much? I don't know. So, something to think about. There is, I'm sure, a way to do this. Just really, I haven't figured it out yet, and maybe you guys have some input, or maybe you have a technique that you've done that works really well, and you could share that with me. Now, vehicles with people sitting side by side, though, is not unheard of. In LEGO Friends, it's actually quite common. This is a LEGO set, and the Friends vehicles use these little wall pieces to hold their feet, and they always come set up like this when they're 6-wide vehicles, that you can put two of them here side by side. Their arms cross, but they fit really nicely in there. Now, obviously, LEGO Friends are a lot different than LEGO Minifig, but let me show you another old set that I have. This is LEGO set 5918. This is the Scorpion Tracker from the LEGO Adventures Egypt series. I have 3 or 4 variations of this vehicle. This one being my favorite, the one that was sold just as the vehicle. But it uses a really unique piece and allows for you to do 2 minifigs side by side. Now this set's from 1998, so it's over 25 years old, and we still aren't using this kind of thing on modern vehicles. I have, like I said, several variations of this, so I have lots of these bodies in different colors. Unfortunately, they're all desert colors because they all came in this Egypt series. But how come we aren't seeing a piece like this from LEGO in 6-wide? Obviously, this is shaped like an old-timey car, but you could definitely make this more boxy and built right into a 6-wide vehicle. So the possibility is there. We just need LEGO to make a part like this that's adaptable to vehicles like this. You could even make a longer one of these with 2 more seats in back. So it's pretty funny. The only example I have of a vehicle where people sit side by side is from 1998. Pretty crazy, huh? So let's talk about vehicle width. I have 3 newer vehicles here. All of these are in the last year. This is the electric car, which came out last year. I believe this came out early 2024. The Land Rover and this camper came out last year. These are all 6-wide, and they all have features that are going to make them over 6-wide. For example, mirrors and fenders. This one just has fenders. And in the driving position, the camper will hold more than 1 minifig because it has a big back end on it. But in the driving position, they all hold 1 minifig. So this is the scale I'm starting to use in my LEGO City, but I haven't adapted it for cars yet, only for trucks and commercial vehicles. So let me kind of show you some of my mocks, and let me see what I want to hear what you think, and if this is the right approach or not. So on more commercial vehicles, I tend to build 6-wide. If you watch my videos, I recently did a build on this school bus mock, which is a 6-wide. I have a similar tow truck that I built in this lime green, also 6-wide, and a garbage truck that I did. I got all the garbage back there too, also in 6-wide. So even though I do use road plates in my city, these fit well, and if you put a passenger vehicle next to them, they don't look too terrible because it's supposed to be a larger vehicle. This is designed to tow something like this, right? So it actually fits pretty good. Problem comes in when you start building the cars in this size. Something like this looks pretty ridiculous next to something like this. It also, I think, looks ridiculous next to this. It should not be as wide as a tow truck, but there's really not much avoiding it. Or is there? A concept I've been wrapping my head around for a long time is to build a different size vehicle. And last night, in preparation for this video, I did it. And I want you to see if you can point out what's different about this vehicle. So this is a pickup truck that I built. I'm not sure if I want to keep the roof rack on there or not, but it's there for now. But there's one thing super unique about this vehicle that is incredibly uncommon. I don't think I've ever seen anyone else do it, but I'm sure it has been done before. And that is, this is a 5-wide vehicle. Now, building a 5-wide vehicle is incredibly challenging. This is by far the most difficult vehicle I've ever built. and it turned out pretty good. The only complaint I really have is the windshield. If you look at it from this angle, it's too skinny on top. And the reason being is they don't make 5-wide windshields, so I had to use a 4-wide. Had to use a lot of interesting techniques. I'm going to do a separate video all about this vehicle. But there's a lot of things you can do to make a vehicle 5-wide. And honestly, I think the scale is great. A pickup truck should not be as wide as a school bus, right? A 5-wide passenger car would be really nice. I might try that next. But again, they are tricky to build, and there's limited parts you can use for things like windshields. So let me know below if you've ever seen someone build a 5-wide vehicle, or maybe I'm the first one. Who knows? It seems like a logical step since there's such a big difference between a 4-wide and a 6-wide. So why not try a 5-wide? This is how I used to build pickup trucks. Now you have to keep in mind I've been doing this a long time. So I was transferring from something like this to more modern parts, like these fenders. And it looks incredibly skinny now. But I think if I basically took the front off this tow truck, I could make a pickup truck out of that too, but it would look incredibly wide. So too thin, too wide. I think that width is just perfect. Let me know what you think below. Now, you may have noticed in the start of my video, I had something else on the table. This is a brand new LEGO Speed Champions set of 2 Mercedes vehicles. We have the Project One and the F1 car. And the reason I bought these, I don't buy a lot of sets. I do very few sets. Almost everything I build is mocks. A lot of my sets, as I showed you here, are old just because they're nostalgic for me. And I don't really use them much. I just keep them around because I can't get rid of them because they're awesome. But I went out and bought this specifically for this video because in doing my research on this kind of stuff, everyone talks Speed Champions. And embarrassingly, I've never owned Speed Champions stuff. Again, sets aren't my thing. But I figured, hey, I'm an ex-Mercedes guy, so this is the perfect set for me. But everyone talks about how these are 8 wide. So we're going to build this up real quick and take a look and see how this stacks up to what we currently have. Okay, so here they are. I got them both built up. I've got the Formula One car here with little Lewis Hamilton in there. And I've got the Mercedes Project One here. Super, super cool and fun build. I'm so glad I got these. Like I said, I'm new to Speed Champions. I know it's a real popular thing, but like I said, sets really aren't my thing, so I really enjoy building these. I really haven't had this much fun building a set in a long time, to be honest with you. But I do want to look at this from a scale perspective. Now, I want to start by saying these are some of the most detailed for smaller scale LEGO models that I've ever seen. I mean, the work on these and the amount of pieces in these is just incredible. I will likely do a separate video on this. My channel, I'm going to try to stay away from the set reviews and things like that, because it's really not what I'm going for in this channel. There's a lot of that stuff already out there, and I do appreciate those, but that's not really my thing. But I do want to talk about this vehicle a little bit in further depth, so I probably will do a video on this one in the future. But let's talk about scale. I'm going to put the F1 car aside right now, and we'll just use the hypercar here, the Project One. Now, I actually did not know that this would hold 2 people side by side. In trying to put 2 people in it, it's incredibly difficult, to be honest with you. The seating position is really bad. There's a lot of snot pieces that get in the way of the arm. They have this strange piece here that hits them right in the back. But you can fit him in there. He fits better with his hair off. The helmet works better than the hair. And it pushes the side out just a hair, so you have to kind of push him off there. But you can fit 2 people in this, which is awesome. Because like I was saying before, that's a real problem for LEGO vehicles. Now with that being said, I would hope you can fit 2 people in it because the body of this vehicle is 8 wide. And on top of that, you have fenders and side skirts and fins. And you're getting even closer to 9 or probably even closer to 10 wide, maybe 9.5. When you're said and done with this, it's a wide vehicle. And for comparison, here's that 6 wide electric car. Again, another current LEGO set. You can see the size difference. If you put a minifig next to it, I mean, he looks like a child. He's as tall as the vehicle, and this is a hypercar, so I'm sure in real life this thing sits real low to the ground. The length, not even close, is about the length of probably 4 of him or 3.5 of him. It's just not real realistic in that. But I understand why. You know, with Speed Champions, they're trying to mimic real vehicles, and they're trying to get as much detail as possible. At this scale, you're not going to be able to get it near as detailed as they were able to at that scale. If I bring in some of my own mocks, this is a little sports car I've kicked around my city for years, and it's pretty old-fashioned, but kind of cool. And that's a 4 wide. You can see a big difference. This is like a quarter of the size of this vehicle. So although I do think this is an awesome set, as far as scale, I think it's pretty irrelevant to LEGO City. I know some people do put Speed Champion stuff in their cities, but I really don't think it's super realistic as the cars actually are. But let me know in the comments what your approach is and what you think of that, and we'll see. A couple of things before I go. I didn't get into really any math with this video. I was thinking about doing that, but I think that's for a separate video. So we might do a LEGO vehicle scale theory video, so keep an eye out for that in the future. I'm going to do a video on this Speed Champions set, even though, like I said, sets are not really going to be the intention of this channel. And I might do a couple videos on some of the mocks that I showed in this video. I did, as usual, hide a piece of sand red in this video, so let me know below if you found it. If you like this video, please like and subscribe. We're going to do more like this in the future, and we will see you next time.